And welcome, Kephrii. Thanks for joining me today. I appreciate you taking the time all the way from Korea to talk to myself and Lemon Kiwi today.
Oh, yeah, coffee with Kephrii, man.
Oh hell yeah! I wish I had coffee, but yeah, no, thank you for having me. This is unexpected and exciting.
Well, I think that is a pretty good descriptor of the entire events that have unfolded over the last couple of weeks here. Because I don't know how far in advance did you figure out that you were actually going to end up in Korea?
What about a week before? A week before the flight, I told my wife, I said, "Hey, we're getting on a plane to Korea," and she said, "Do we have to?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, we kind of do."
And there you are. So we're going to talk a little bit today about kind of about where you came from, and then how in the heck you ended up where you are, and how in the heck you're going to go from where you are now to the Overwatch League. So that should be fun. Lemon
Oh,
and
wow, that's
Kiwi.
optimistic.
Yeah, well, hey, I know that's where you want to end up. So let's see how you plan on getting there. Lemon Kiwi and I have assembled some questions that we think
Oh, yeah.
people will be interested in hearing. But yeah, Lemon Kiwi, did you want to start us off?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to get to know you in your pre-Overwatch days, and because Overwatch wasn't your first game, but let's start with how did you even get into video games, and what was it your original career path, or what was your IRL thing going forward?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I noticed I picked up a few questions in there. So, the first game, you asked the first game. The thing that got me into gaming was when I was a little kid. There was Legend of Dragoon on the PlayStation One.
I love
That
that
was
one.
that's probably the best fucking game ever. Part of my language, but best game ever. So that was what started my existence in gaming. The next thing you mentioned was like the whole IRL thing. So yeah, before video games, or before I did competition, I guess, or streaming. The most recent thing I did 4.5 years active duty army. I was an
Oh,
intelligence
nice.
analyst, and then I got out of the military. While I was in, I did my associates and bachelors. I got out, did my masters, and I was a government contractor. And I did vulnerability assessments for the government. And then one day I got a YouTube paycheck, and I was like, "Whoa,
Whoa.
AdSense is kind of nice." Like, so I quit, put in my 2 weeks, and then now I commute up 12 stairs, and it's pretty nice.
So you had Legend of Dragoon, and now what sort of competitive games have you played that you put your time into?
So actively right now, just Overwatch. I find when competing in a game, it's best to just play one game. That way, your muscle memory, everything's just it's just
Hmm.
one thing to memorize. Before Overwatch, I played a lot of Halo. I was a console kid,
Yeah.
but I also played some League of Legends. I was Diamond 3, mid laner, jungler.
Oh,
I
nice.
played CS:GO. I was a global elite. I did some ESEA and CEVO and all that fun stuff. Uh, that was pretty much it. It was like League, CS:GO, and then Overwatch and like Halo.
So you have a large background in competitive video games or esports, as those of us in the know call it. But you've also you have been in the Overwatch competitive scene since the beta. Were you in the closed beta or the open beta?
Actually, I was in neither. I remember I was driving home from work and I got Taco Bell, and I was drinking my Baja Blast, and that's the only
Nice.
drink from Taco Bell that's relevant. And
Right.
when I was drinking that, I saw on the cup an opportunity to win a Razer keyboard for this game Overwatch, and I said, well, if it made it on the Taco Bell cup, it must be good. So I went and looked, googled the game, and then downloaded it, and that was it. So it was about like 2 weeks after I think the game came out that I started playing.
Oh, I've actually never heard that story before. That's pretty cool. So I guess
Taco Bell made my career,
Taco Bell made your career. That's a headline right there. But so not in the beta, so not in like the earliest days of competitive Overwatch, but basically
Right.
since release. So comparing your previous experience with Halo and ESEA, like you just mentioned, what have been the main differences between those sorts of esports and the competitive scene in Overwatch?
So I would say Overwatch, it's easier to get noticed than say Halo, right? So if we're talking strictly differences, it's easier to get noticed in Overwatch than Halo, mainly because Overwatch has a many heroes, right? And you can essentially one trick them into a spotlight. So if you become ridiculously good at Symmetra or Hanzo or Tracer or whatever it may be, someone's likely to take notice of you. So that helps with getting on the map. When it comes to a game like Halo, it doesn't really matter how individually good you are. You you just can't really get spotted. Same with CS:GO. You're just so oversaturated. Like there's so many players and there's not enough individuality in the game itself at a core level. Like Hanzo, you play Hanzo, or you play Tracer. But in CS:GO, you play with an AWP. I mean, everybody plays with an AWP. So it's really hard to get noticed in any of those kind of games. So Overwatch, it's a lot easier. I'd say that's the main difference.
And semi-pro is pretty different in Halo because don't you have to climb through like a 1,000-team bracket before even getting on a broadcast?
Yeah, that's essentially how, especially old like OG Halo, like the good
Yeah.
days of Halo, like Halos 1, 2, and 3, like those kind of WAN back in the MLG days,
Yeah.
that would be 1,000-team brackets. There was so much hype. It was so great. I don't want to go down the glory days. It was sad, nostalgic times.
Oh.
But I'm kind of riding on the waves. I was a Halo 5 player, so it's like, but I still made my ways through an open bracket with like a 340th seed or something crazy, something crazy like that. So yeah, it was a lot harder back then.
So when you transitioned from Halo 5 to Overwatch, did you immediately land on Widowmaker? Like, were you a sniper in the previous games, or did you kind of like play around? And what made you land on Widowmaker for the very first time?
Yeah, so I first got there. I locked in Soldier. I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool. Like point click, easy. I also picked it because I was used to the shift key sprinting, and it hurt my brain that no character could sprint. So I picked Soldier so I could sprint. And then I realized that Widowmaker was a one-shot, one kill, and I've always gravitated towards snipers in every game. So I picked that character and I loved it. It was like playing COD, just shutting people down. It was just great, instant gratification. So I did that, and then I want to say what made me keep playing it was I had a short break between jobs. So for the government people that are somehow watching this or listening, there's a period of time when you shift jobs where your security clearance has to do what's called a crossover. They send it from like one place to the next, and it usually takes like a week or two for your security clearance to cross over. And I essentially just couldn't work. So for 2 weeks while they're waiting to review me, I just couldn't work. So I stayed at home and I was playing Overwatch. And in that 2 weeks when I stopped playing, Overbuff was like a thing. And because there were no seasons at the time, there was no competitive season. It was just quick play, and quick play only told you how much time you played. That was their ranking system purely. And I remember looking at Overbuff and looking at who had the most time played, and at the time it was me. I had the most hours on Widowmaker, so it made me rank 1 before the season even came out. And so I thought, oh, well, shit, that's kind of cool. So that's what made me just keep playing Widowmaker. I just never stopped because I figured if I have the most hours, then nobody can ever pass me if I don't stop playing.
So you got into Overwatch, you had mentioned, because of a Baja Blast at Taco Bell, and then you were kind of having.
When you say it that way.
Well, it's technically the truth.
Best drink I ever had.
Best drink you ever had, and then you're playing quick play. You're finding out you're the best Widowmaker by time played on Overbuff, and you're thinking that's pretty cool. You've got some time, and then what makes you kind of transition from just a game you got out from Taco Bell into going pro? I think was actually pretty early. Lemon Q, do you remember? You must know this, Dave.
Was it Team Liquid? Was it like your first maybe real team back in 2016?
Real team, definitely. Definitely the first real team. If we go all the way back, the first team was a team called Vex Gaming. We were really excited to play, me and the teammates, because we got really cool banners for Twitter. Whew. And
Oof.
that's
those when it's
banners, serious. Yeah, getting to advertise another company with my own body, that was that was the bee's knees, man. Like, you made it when you could be a walking endorsement for a company.
Nice.
So the Twitter banners, we did that. The main tank, oh man, my voice cracked there. The main tank's power went out 2 times in a row, and we forfeit 2 tournaments. So then I quit that team. Ended up on Elevate. We won a Go for Overwatch Cup on ESL's website or something. We got backpacks. Hell yeah.
Oh,
and then
nice.
After that, I ended up with the Liquid guys. I never was actually signed to Liquid. What happened was they didn't have a 6th yet, and while they were waiting for a 6th, they let me fill in. So I filled in and played for them. We got top 4. Also, damn, this turned into a longer question. I apologize. So the Face It
Story
Cup
time. We
was
love
the
it.
thing. Yeah, for story time. Here we go, guys. So at the time, it was the NA Face It Cup. That's what it was. That's
Back
what it was
when
called.
Face It was still in Overwatch.
Right?
Yeah, it was a $100,000, I want to say, Face It tournament. I think it required 5 qualifiers to get into the tournament. And I think the tournament would have been a LAN in Gamescom, Germany, I want to say. I can't remember because it's like 2 years ago. But so the first cup, Liquid had to forfeit because they didn't have a sixth. And then the second cup, they're like, hey, fuck it. You know, Kephrii, go on in. Like, why not? You and Elige from CSGO are going to play in this tournament. And so me and Elige are like, all right, whatever. So I remember talking to Tafis. I'm going to throw in, I've never actually put these people on blast. So Tafis, if you're still
Damn.
in this
Twice
scene, I love
already.
you guy. You know, so I remember asking Tafis, like, hey, man, if I play in this, is there a guarantee that I'll play again in like cups 3, 4, 5 or whatever? Because if we win, I am going to be locked to your roster. I can't play for another team if we win. And he said, well, there's no guarantee we're going to sign you to Liquid, and there's no guarantee that you'll be a part of Liquid. But what I can tell you is if you don't play, then we don't get to qualify, and there won't really be a team Liquid. And, you know,
Makes
like,
sense.
so he's like, you know, pretty much it was like, it almost felt like a guilt trip to me. Like, hey, Kev, you have to play or we're going to think you're a dick for not like filling in. So that was my takeaway from it. And so I was like, okay, I get it. I'm playing. So I go and we play and we end up beating, at the time it was TSM's new roster before they disbanded, which I think was the Code 7 players, which would have been Hard Blue, like Torque, TJO, like the TJO brothers or whatever. I don't even know if they're brothers. I just call them brothers. But the TJO guys, they were like a really good team. I think they had taken a map off of Envy, which at the time that was unheard of. Because Envy was like 40-0 or some crazy shit back then. So yeah, so we beat TSM and we got top 4, and then I got points and I got locked to Liquid, and that was like my first team. And then I never got to play again with them, and I got roster locked and I couldn't join another team.
Well, hey, everybody starts somewhere, right?
Yeah. I started and ended there.
Was a good first experience. And how was like the early days in Overwatch, like ranked and like the community? How different was the community like in 2016 versus now?
The community was great actually, which is interesting. I
It's
can't
so
tell
small,
if
probably.
yeah, well, I don't know if it was small or if it was that you know, I don't really know what it was. You know, I've never actually thought about that question. That's a good question. It made me think genuinely. Um the scene, I remember it being nice. I remember it was a breath of fresh air from Halo, because that was so over the toxicity of Halo. It felt like high school, you know, like there's only 16 pro teams, and of those 16, everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
And it's just ego and shade, you know. But Overwatch, no one knew each other, so it was a lot of like. I remember I could get tryouts anywhere. It was cool because everybody needed a Widowmaker back then. It was a required player on the team, so I remember getting tryouts left and right. People were really nice, and then one day it wasn't. It was probably because season 2 Widowmaker got nerfed to piss, and she was never touched again. So that's probably what happened. But no, the scene was really great back then. It's funny if you watch the gameplay, it was really slow. It's almost like they've done a base movement speed increase with every patch, so the game feels really fast now. But no, the players were really nice. The game was a lot more. I feel like it was more methodical, like a lot of strategy, a lot of thought had to go into it back then. It felt like, but no, it was a lot of fun.
And back then, you primarily played Widowmaker. I don't even know how many hours you have on the hero. Easily over 1,000.
Yeah,
Do you actually know the exact number of hours you've played on Widowmaker?
I want to say it's like 11:22 on my main account.
11:22.4.
Exact number.
He has it. He has it. He does.
Keeping track.
But
Yeah.
in more recent months,
Back
you've
then I played Widow, McCree, and Reaper. Those were the 3 things I
Widow,
played.
McCree,
Reaper
and
days,
Reaper.
man.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
I had the question because you're also commonly known for flexing onto May and Symmetra. And I got
In a non-throwing way.
in a non-throwing way. These are
Right?
Special.
not everyone
Oh,
agrees with that train of thought that it's in a non-throwing way, but
Oh yeah.
where did these 2 signature flex picks come from? They just seem so out of left field.
So you can see my mental health deteriorate with each season of Overwatch as it progresses, and you'll notice my hero pool shift from an acceptable standard. So my logic is that I have played so much Widowmaker to the point where I'm not burnt out, but I get tired of it in the sense that like I kill 3 people and we still manage to lose. And it's like, fuck, that's so unrewarding and it's just demoralizing. So after like, I'll do like a 12-hour stream and 7 or 8 hours into it, I just get exhausted and I'm like, I just don't like my wrist hurts, my arm hurts. I really don't feel like aiming anymore. Well, sim, like, the turrets aim for me. So I don't really have to
Very
aim.
true.
And back and the left click used to aim for me too. It was fantastic. So Sim was like that character where I don't have to aim anymore. And if I can convince people it's not throwing, then maybe they'll still carry me.
Right.
And
But
then May
May
is just
requires
fun.
aim.
Yeah, May is just fun to me. I don't know what it is.
Oh.
It's very fun. Like I feel like she builds ult really fast. Plus nothing like it tilts the enemy team to oblivion when you block a Rhine Shatter with a May wall. It's just the character in general is just a lot of fun, and she doesn't require much effort in solo queue. If I wall off a choke and one guy gets through and dies, I kind of just won the fight for us, and I didn't have to actually do anything. Whereas with Widow, I would have had to try to shoot through like 3 shields, and live. So May is just very I'm gonna piss so many people off saying that she's easy to play, but May is just really easy to play for me, and she's just helps me relieve some stress, so I don't have to try as hard.
Well, you also stress your teammates out by picking Symmetra or May.
Yeah, I put it on them. I put it on them. Yeah, that's true.
But I mean,
I always try to win though.
Not saying you're throwing.
I have good win rates usually. I'm usually always
Yeah.
over 50%, if not in the 60s on those characters.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign. So when you're grinding, Widowmaker, putting 1,200 hours into a single hero, man, that takes a lot of dedication. Was there like any players that kind of maybe inspired you or sort of that you looked up to maybe when you started? And is that the same person you look up to now?
Man. So I was never really inspired by someone, if I'm being completely honest. So what happened? I got my Taco Bell cup, played some Soldier, played some Widow. And then I was like, well, let me make sure I'm playing Widow properly. Google Widowmaker Pro Sense. At the time, it was Taimu. I took Taimu Sense. At the time, it was 35 scoped, 8 cents. And then I already played 400 DPI because I liked it. And I just straight up just took his settings and slapped them on my character. And then eventually he changed his, and I just didn't care because I was already used to mine. And I've just kept it ever since. So I would never say I looked up to Time. I mean, it's not fair. I used his settings, but by using his settings, I would say that I looked up to his performance because I gauged his settings to be like, you know what I mean? Like his settings were ideal to me, so therefore his performance must have been something I wanted to like replicate. Over time, I never kept up with like his play to say that he was like a role model or an idol or anything. And that stays true to like today. There's nobody that I watch, especially with Widowmaker. There's nobody that I watch where I'm like, damn, like I wish I was that guy, especially in Goats meta. There's definitely
there's really nobody. No widows anymore.
I think I'm the only widow in Goats right now. It's really awkward.
So excluding yourself, then who do you think is the best Widowmaker in the league right now? Or outside of the league? Just who's the best Widowmaker that's not you?
I'm glad you said excluding myself because I do not think I'm the best. That's a lot of people like to say like, oh, Kephree's so arrogant. He thinks he's the best. Just quick disclaimer. I will put best Widowmaker in a YouTube title because that is called clickbait. I do not think I'm the best. I just like views. I like food on the table. So if I had to pick the best Widow, man, I actually have a command for this in my chat where it's do not ask me. But the best.
We're not in your chat. I can ask what I want.
Yeah, if I had to actually pick the best, all without elaborating on it and without explaining why I think he's the best, it would be Linkser. Linkser is probably the best Widowmaker.
Okay, we won't ask you to elaborate on that, but you do kind of talk about that breadwinning or putting food on the table, and you also mentioned it a lot earlier with kind of receiving your first YouTube check. So not only did you started Overwatch because of Taco Bell, but you ended up both going towards the competitive side of things as well as towards the YouTube and Twitch. Your YouTube having over 300,000 subscribers, your Twitch having over 400,000 followers. Those are by no means small numbers. So tell us a little bit about how the Kephrii media empire came to be.
So I'm debating on which answer I give you.
It's a good
So
one, right?
I have the how I actually built my empire, and then the how everybody who has an empire tells you they built their empire. Um,
So what's the Kephrii
so
answer?
Just give us one of
Kephrii
the answers, but don't tell us which one it is. Perfect.
This is gonna be great. So I remember when I was working at DITRA at the time, Defense Threat Reduction Agency. We just call it DITRA. But I was working there as a contractor, and I was streaming part time. Obviously, like I'd go to work 9 to 5 and then have to be up early. But I remember when I was streaming, after that 2 week portion, there was like one. It all started with this guy. His name was like Duck on Quack, and I beat
Nice
him in
name.
a yeah, really, yeah, weird name. I don't even think he still watches me. But I remember we were playing Volskaya. I remember it very well, and he's like, "Dude, you just shit on me. Like, do you stream?" And I was like, "No." And he said, "Well, can you? Because I really want to see like what the hell you're doing. Because like you're good." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man." So I booted up a stream. I didn't even know how to read Twitch chat. It just turned the stream on, and then I just didn't talk to people for like 4 hours straight, and I turned it off.
Great
So I
streak.
did that for a couple days, and then someone was like talking to me in game, like, you have like 100 viewers right now, right? And I'm like, nah, like I don't know what that means. Cool. So then I kept turning it on because he kept whispering me in game, like, turn on your stream. And so I just kept turning it on for this dude. And then eventually, after like a couple weeks of being this guy's personal cam boy, it just became routine. And I started to kind of realize, like, oh, I guess I should talk to you guys. I guess I should, interact or do something. And that's just kind of how it started.
And I mean, obviously this has become a full-time thing. You were in the military, had all this great career stuff going on, and now an even better one. What did your family and your wife, or I don't know if you were dating Devin for probably during this transition,
Oh,
but
no, no, no.
what did
I've
they
been,
what do they
oh,
think
sorry.
about? So yeah, what do they think about like your military then transitioning to gaming and streaming full time?
So I've been married to my wife for about 5 years, a little over 5 years. I've been playing Overwatch for about 2. So she's been here since since the very beginning of it all. She's actually on this little mattress behind me watching Netflix. You can't even see her. Nope, you'll never see her because I'm too big. The mattress is far too small. So far too small. So let's see. So I remember the conversation at Christmas very vividly. Um, because I see her family like once a year, 2 times a year for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and I remember showing up one year, and they're like, "Oh, what are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm just a nuclear intelligence analyst for the government. Nice to meet you,
Nice.
jackass." Yeah, exactly. Like weird flex, but okay.
Weird
And
flex.
then the next year I show up, and they're like, "So, how's your job?" And I'm like, "Oh, I quit. I play games." And
They're like,
they looked
wait,
right at her, and they're like, "Is everything okay? Like,
can you
like you guys are
refund this boyfriend,
like,
please?
well, yeah, well, we were married." They're like, "Did you
Oh,
just get
Mary.
invaded?" They're like, like, "Your husband doing all right, man? Everything good?" And so, yeah, so my mom urged caution. She said, she said, just keep in mind, you're on track. You got out of the military. You're like 22, 23 at the time. I had my bachelor's, almost finished my master's. I was making 70K a year. I was working for the government. And she's like, "You're literally about to just quit and throw everything away and backtrack." And I said, "Yeah, it doesn't sound very good." I said, "But I know on paper it sounds like a really bad idea." I said, "But mom, you raised me smart. I am an intelligence analyst for the government.
I am intelligent,
said,
therefore.
I said, I work for the government, so I'm not, I can do something. I know I can count. So something's working." I said, "Just you gotta trust me on this one. I see something you don't see." And she said, "Okay, like, good luck, man." She said, "Just promise me if it doesn't work, you're gonna go right back." I said, "Yeah, no problem." And then after that, she became Kephree's fan club in my Twitch chat,
Oh,
and
Aw.
that's so
she sits in
cute.
there and trolled me because I didn't know she was that. And at the time, like, I have a fan club. I was like, "Who the hell is this?" And she starts donating to other streamers and shit, and she just keeps trolling everybody and me. So, but now she's like my biggest fan. So it's interesting.
And
It
Devin's
was
like always been supportive through
yeah,
thick and thin, or was
it's
kind
kind
of
of
not sure. Or...
it's kind of scary, Devin. Devin never doubted me a day in her life.
Oh,
So, which
goals.
blind love is beautiful, but it's also it makes you feel pretty guilty when you're a dick. So, Devin's been nothing but sweet, nothing short of sweet ever for 5 years. It's magic. I've definitely lost sight of that more times than I'm proud of. But I remember the government in the army. When you're an enlisted army, you make dirt for money. I wasn't like an officer or anything, so I made no money. and then I go contracting. I made some money, and then I quit and I make no money. And so like that's never been what matters to her. That's like while we're here, she's sitting on a fucking mattress, not even an inch thick mattress.
See, that's
3/4.
dedication. That's when I was
3/4
really
in it.
surprised.
I told her with 1 week's notice, hey, screw your grandma. We're going to Korea. Sleep on some floors with 13 other dudes.
So
And
she
she's
thought
like,
it was
yeah.
vacation, and then
You got the
stuck on a mat.
international debate. Yeah. So she's just always, as long as I'm involved, she's down. So
That's awesome.
I got really lucky with that.
That actually just makes me smile like some dumb idiot.
Aw.
But
It does.
you two are just so cute together. But
I wish I was good enough.
So words are hard. Things seem to be going pretty well for you now, and you're talking about the glory days there of Overwatch there at the very early days of both competitive and on the ladder. But things in Overwatch haven't always been swell for you. There were kind of a couple dark months there of different flavors. But I want to start out there with talking about Zerg. Now Zerg was the young kid who you ran into. I think
the
it was
young god,
the young
prodigy,
the young
himself.
prod,
yeah,
the young hacker.
yeah.
But 14-year-old kid, pretty much nobody knew what he or who he was.
I love that, by the way. I love that statement. 14-year-old kid, as if I know this man's age when I'm in ranked and I queue. It's not like it says 14-year-old Zerg. I remember the day I accused him of cheating in my 4 a.m. losing spree of tilt and salt. And everyone's like, wow, what kind of adult calls a 14-year-old a cheater? And I was like, dude, I don't know the kid's 14. Like, how the hell am I supposed to know his age? I didn't type ASL in like the chat box and to ask him to tell me that he's
the
like
good days of ASL.
Yeah, 12
ASL?
Cali female.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what this guy is. Like, come on, man. I said, what's his age have to do with it? But no, yeah. That was an interesting day. I mean, I was pretty salty that night, coming off of a hot like 4 or 5 lose streak, 4 a.m. I was so miserable.
and what was it that actually made you think he was hacking?
There was a hook shot that, from my point of view on my kill cam, he was pre-aiming through a wall and scoped in, wall hooked, and headshot me. And it just seemingly was so coincidental. Like, you would think he was wall hacking at the time. In hindsight, I was an idiot. And he has a Hanzo on his team, but I was too much of an idiot to pay attention. And he had recon arrows all over the place, letting him know where I was going. So he knew I was there from way earlier in the game. And that's why he was already looking over there. My brain, salty and miserable at the time, thought he was just cheating. So that's kind of, you get what you earn. Like I earned that. I made that mistake. I was a salty D-bag, and I got my punishment for it.
Yeah, and thinking back, putting myself in your shoes, I don't really think that's anything too out of the norm. There have been, at multiple times, multiple different seasons, aimbotting tracers, aimbotting widowmakers, plaguing the GM in the top 500 ranks, win traders in the more frequent seasons, but especially with an unknown player or an unknown name that isn't an alternate account of a professional player, it could be a reasonable thing to think that this individual is hacking.
Yeah, I hate to agree with you. I mean, you're not wrong, so that's why I have to agree with you. I hate to agree with you because I don't want to rationalize or belittle what I did. I don't want to try and say what I did was right. But at the end of the day, yeah, there you had what was it, Half Dead or Undead or whatever his name was. I think it's Half Dead. He was known for being the #1 on the leaderboards for like 4 seasons straight as a cheating widowmaker. There was actually a widowmaker that was cheating with my name.
Oh, I remember that. I'd forgotten until you.
Yeah, I had that guy. Thanks for that guy, by the way. If you're watching, you got me 1 million views on YouTube. Appreciate it. And then there was another one that was cheating, and he actually had my wife's name.
Ooh.
I didn't win that game, so I couldn't put it on YouTube. I wouldn't get the views I needed. But no, there was definitely a handful of them. So it wasn't terribly uncommon back then. But I could have handled it more professionally in the sense of when the game ended, just hit the report button and move on. I didn't have to type in chat. I didn't have to be salty. I didn't have to tell my stream, nah, this guy is cheating. I hope he gets banned. Like, I could have just handled it like an adult. And, at 4 a.m. on a 5-game losing spree, I just didn't handle it like an adult, so I learned from it, thankfully.
Well, lesson learned. Live and learn, move on. But
Yeah, I'm
y-
learning a lot of that.
you
Whew.
moved on, but Zerg did a little bit better than just move on. Is that after
Oh yeah,
this, both he got a ton of attention on YouTube. I think a video came out from Fat and Sausage, and then his
yep,
stream blew up, and then eventually he landed himself a position on the Fusion University, so Philadelphia Fusion's
yes.
academy team. Do you you must have some sort of feeling about having more
It
or
was,
less accidentally
you know,
launched this kid's career to pro, which again,
it was
he's
interesting.
moved on to Fortnite now, but you did make a kid's
Everyone kind of did.
career.
Yeah. It was interesting. I do have feelings on it, but not the feelings that most people would think. A lot of people would think, haha, Kephree's like, serves you right, sucker. Like, you thought he's cheating and now he's on a team and you're not. Like, that's what a lot of people think. Like, I felt in reality, it wasn't jealousy or envy. It was more of a little bit of flattery and confusion. And that's where people will say I'm egotistical and like arrogant. But somebody somewhere thought that by Zerg, I'm gonna use the word they said, shitting on me. I killed him more times in the YouTube video, just for the record. That's where my insecurity comes in, and I have to defend myself. But when somebody beats me, and I think they're cheating, and it gets uploaded to YouTube, there's some sort of flattery in that I was able to launch this dude's career. Maybe there were other factors, but it seemingly looked like that was the sole start of it all. But when you think about it, like, wow, beating Kephrii and making him salty was good enough to get you to an academy team, just like that. Like, that got you a tryout. Wow. So it was kind of interesting, if that was the only factor at play, it kind of was nice. Like, I was the benchmark test. I was like the fitness gram pacer test of Overwatch, you know? So if that was the only thing at play, it was kind of like humbling to me to know that I was that line, I'm the gatekeeper.
Now, a similar or kind of a similar situation occurred, I think it was September of 2017, where private chat logs were accidentally leaked between yourself and Baby Bay. And in those logs, you made some comments, whether they were accusations or suspicions of current Overwatch League professionals, including Surefour and Tymo, uh, as having either cheated previously or cheating at the time. Uh,
Mm.
that was
So yeah, so that that gets interesting. That gets interesting because I always get a bunch of different comments in this. Like, do you still think they're cheating? Will you apologize for it? Will you apologize for accusing them back when you said it? And the short answer is, like, no, I don't think they're still cheating. No, I won't apologize for what I said back then, because back then I truly believed that they were cheating. There was footage that led me to believe that. Like, I don't know these guys personally. I didn't know them personally. I just came out of the army, just came from being a contractor. I thought I was getting to compete in a fair scene. Like, I thought things were fair and I thought they were normal. It's like if you were in like high school, and you go to college and you go to like the sports, and you're excited, you just started sports, cool, hand egg, and then you find out someone's like doing steroids or performance enhancer, the reality of the situation. Like when there's money on the line, people will do scummy things to get it. And I didn't know those things happened. So I was expecting a fair game and a fair playing field. And I got a reality check. And I was like, wow, like, looking at this shit, this looks pretty sketch. Like, I'm not gonna lie. But I didn't say anything. Those conversations with Baby Bay actually happened, I want to say December of 15. I want to say it was December 15. It could have been December of 16. Long story short, it was in December, and it was made public, I want to say 7 or 8 months after it happened. I had the conversations privately with Baby Bay about people that I thought cheated. Didn't make it public, didn't want to stir the pot, didn't want to throw a accusation out there or upset anybody. But I guess Baby Bay must have saved the chat log and put it in a paste bin, didn't make it private. Somebody stumbled upon it, and then I got shit for it, later on.
so.
And then it turned into this. Yep.
So it was actually like 8 months after the fact that you had a private discussion that these logs became public, and then it made it look like you were, publicly
Yeah.
accusing pros of cheaters or being cheaters.
Yeah. And that was the spin that kind of got on it. Yeah, that was pretty much what happened. Yeah, it turned into this big spin of, well, Kephrii just accuses everybody of cheating, everyone better than him, and it's like, what? And then that was also when the 200 milligram meme was born, which is, you know, and I hate to, I don't want to pick a fight with somebody. I really don't like drama, but it's hard to not talk about drama when you literally ask me about drama.
Well, yes,
Like I'm on a podcast.
Very true.
that is exactly what I am
asked
asking you about.
drama.
So
Yeah, like you want me to do it. You're baiting me in. So ironically, the chat log gets leaked with Baby Bay. These are the players. These are the clips. It's all there. What happens next is not the players addressing the clips. Instead, it's Taimu creating a copy pasta making fun of me for 200 milligrams of Adderall. It was an instant deflection to destroy my character and make fun of me. And then that's all that stuck. No one ever talked about the clips. No one ever talked about the people cheating. It actually just got swept under the rug and deleted. And people just instead said that I hackysayed everyone better than me, and it became a 200 milligram meme. But nobody ever looked at the clips ever.
And even to this day, I think there's some people who still carry that perception, or make that 200 milligram meme in chat whenever they see you, or
and I
whenever
don't
you come
think
up.
they realized the definition of the meme. I wasn't bragging about taking 200 milligrams. First of all, let's just clarify. 200 milligrams of Adderall is a fuck ton of Adderall. I don't think anybody takes that. And that was a gross exaggeration. That's like when the dude comes home from fishing. He's like, "Oh, the bass was this big, honey." Like, nah, dude. It's like yeah. You get my point.
Yeah.
It's a gross exaggeration. So no. What I was actually trying to explain was in the Halo scene, Adderall was rampant. And that can tie into another subject that I saw was later scheduled for this podcast. Adderall was rampant in Halo. Back then, I didn't understand the severity of it. I tried it because I went to my first LAN and someone handed me it. And I tried it. And, you learn the hard way what drugs can do. And anybody that's ever fucked with drugs and went down a slippery path will tell you quick not to do it. That's generally the person who tells you, "Hey man, don't fuck with this." Like, it's the guy that's already fucked up. I've made my mistakes on it. I never want to go near it again. I won't go near it again. So as a result, I was kind of trying to explain to Baby Bay, like, dude, I've taken these performance enhancers. I've seen what they can do. And that doesn't excuse what I'm seeing in the clips. Like, even if he was on a performance enhancer, this clip is still not possible to explain. Like, it still doesn't explain. Like, there has to be a third party thing at play.
So yeah,
So
what
that's
you're
what I
trying
was
to say
trying
there,
to explain.
what you're trying to say
But
there is that you'd
instead-
seen pro play, you'd seen performance enhanced pro play, and this was still above that.
And this was still way beyond that. Exactly. And so what happened was, instead of people saying, "Hey, Kef might be onto something. This does look fucking fishy," it turned into 200 milligram nerd. And you can thank Taimu for that, which was at the time, the main target in my private conversation with Baby Bay. So convenient that the player I'm calling out was the player who deflected it onto me.
Yeah, I obviously have a little bit of a conflict of interest in that one, so I can't pick sides.
And the reason I hated to bring up drama in the first place is because Taimu and I are finally on good terms.
Are you really?
Like,
I didn't know.
Aw.
I have
Happy
well,
endings.
fuck. Maybe we're not. Because you have inside information.
No,
Oh,
I'm
man.
just I don't keep up
Way
with
to go,
Timo's
Jane.
personal life and who's on his friends list.
I've sent him DMs multiple times saying, "Hey man, like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what the fuck I did to piss you off, because we've never interacted ever in the pro scene ever. Not once. So I was like, I don't know what I did to like hurt you, but I'm sorry. Like, you were the one I got my Widowmaker settings from when I first started playing. Like, kind of gave him a little suck off there and told him like, hey, like, I owe you one. Like, I'm sorry, man." I kind of chalk it up to Taimu was like the best Widow back in the day. He won the tournaments. He got all the starship. And I imagine where the resentment came in was me as a Widow streamer and having my fanboys come into his stream and go, "Are you better than Kephrii?" Because no one ever came in and said, "Are you better than Taimu?" It was always, "Are you better than Kephrii?" And I think he hated that he had the titles, had the wins, had the tournament placings, and he was still having to explain himself to people that didn't keep up with pro play. And I think that eventually annoyed the piss out of him.
And at
I
that
think
time,
that's-
of course, Envy was like 40-0 in Apex or something crazy like that. So he was
he's like,
unquestionably the
yeah.
best.
He's like, why the fuck are you guys talking about Kephrii in my chat? He's like, who the fuck is this kid? And I'm like, I'm with him on this one. Why the fuck are you comparing me to Taimu? So, and it was funny. But then, at the same time, I'm uploading YouTube videos saying best Widowmaker, rank 1 overbuff Widowmaker, and I'm clickbaiting. So he thinks probably that I think these things. And I'm like, dude, I'm just making a living over here. Like, don't mind me. Like, I'm just passing by. And I think that's where a lot of the bad blood with Taimu and I started, was just he owned a title, but publicly I stole that title, even though it wasn't true. And I think that's where like that mix up kind of happened, and chat kind of flamed it and fueled it. And then as a result, it went out of control and it never recovered, And then to throw fire onto the fuel or fuel onto the fire, the accusation privately talking with Baby Bay didn't help the situation.
Yeah, and sometimes you just can't account for those things becoming public. You'd forgotten about it 8 months ago. It's no longer relevant, and suddenly
it's not like it was
front
an
and center.
AOL chat message, or a Hotmail, This isn't a chat log. This is a BattleNet messenger. I mean, I was in the practice range typing it in game client. So that meant Baby Bay was not in the game client. It was actually in the BattleNet messenger, because there wasn't the social tab back then. It was the actual messenger. And that meant he had to actually copy the entirety of the messenger box into a paste bin. So like for no reason, like I remember asking, I was like, Baby, I was like, what the fuck is this? Why is this out here? And he's like, oh, my bad, bro.
My bad,
like,
bro.
He's like, because you know how Baby Bay is. Like he's a bro, dude. He's a party animal. Like
Yep.
he's like, my bad, bro. And I'm like, thanks. That doesn't fix my problem. And he's like, yeah. I was like, so why did you save it in the first place? And I think his reasoning back then, he's like, the clips were just kind of suspicious, and I wanted to have them for record. And I was like, well, then save the clips, you dumbass. Don't save the whole conversation. And he's like, yeah, my bad, man. And I'm like, thanks. Like, I'm still fucked, but thanks. So, yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
And this is so there's the the chat logs with Baby Bay and the whole issue with Zerg, but and there's a few other things that we haven't mentioned that happened.
Yeah.
But despite all of this, despite any time pros have been mad at you or the public has been against you, you've kept a presence. You've kept uploading to YouTube. You've kept uploading to, or sorry, you've kept streaming to Twitch, and it just seems like you've got the thickest skin of anyone I know. How have you?
I don't even know if it's healthy.
I don't know how you do it. I lost when I lost to Team USA in the group stage. Like that put a massive blow to me as like an individual. So how have you been able to handle this on a personal level? Like, do you keep online and offline separate? How do you keep producing content when there's so many people against you?
So warning for people watching this is gonna get dark real quick. So if you're sensitive to that, you might want to fast forward like a minute. So for this stuff that we're obviously not talking about, for the people that are privy to that information, I've asked to not discuss it. If you know that stuff, good. If you don't know it, good. So when that happened, and all the negative stuff kind of like just stacked, when shit just kept piling, right? Nobody cleaned the porter john, it just kept piling and you had to sit in it. Great visual. Eventually, no, I hit that low. Like, I know what you're talking about. Like, oh, you lose and you see Reddit and you're like, man, that's pretty sad. Like, feels bad, man. I remember the first time Twitch chat ever shit talked me when I played poorly one night. I remember going to dinner with my wife and I didn't want to get out of the car. I was like, man, I feel like shit. And she's like, why? I was like, because 4,000 people just told me I sucked ass. And that was just after a Twitch performance, bad games and ranked. When I had my teachers calling me from high school, my female, my wife's parents calling me, had Thanksgiving 2 weeks after, I had to actually see them in the person, and they'll whisper. When you have all that happening, there was a good 2 weeks, man, where I remember sitting in bed and like I genuinely wanted to just fucking die. Like, I really did. Like, there was no escaping any of it. Like, I mean, there was no escape. Genuinely, I could walk out of my house and everyone knew, because it's not that they knew all the bad shit. It was that all of these people in my local town knew all the good shit. They were so proud of me, and they loved that somebody from my like little town made it big in any capacity. So everyone talked about me for like a good year and a half. And then when shit stacked up, all of those people that were like, oh yeah, Kephrii, oh, I taught him, like, cool dude. Those people that, didn't like me came back and said, oh yeah, remember that cool dude you taught? Like, guess what? So as a result, everybody knew. I remember I just woke up to voicemails, texts, emails, like hate mail. Somebody actually, Taimu, I think it was in a Discord call with 600 people, not even exaggerating, 600 people in a Discord chat, just talking and spreading my drama and perpetuating it and keeping it moving, uh, antagonizing the situation. They tried to actually call my wife even,
Oh, that's messed
live
up.
in the Discord call. Yeah, it took Monty to come into the stream because it was being live streamed too. So with the 600 people in the Discord call, and it took Monty to come in and say, "Hey, like you guys have crossed a line. Like you're calling her on speakerphone. Get the fuck out." And Taimu violated so many rules in the player handbook for Overwatch League, but I just didn't like. Just that's a whole nother fucking thing. Um, but no, there was a time I didn't genuinely I didn't want to like live. I really didn't.
So
I was pretty over it.
that's
I
a
was because
go ahead to finish. I didn't mean to
yeah.
interrupt.
No, you're good, man. I'm going on a tangent at this point. But no, there was a point where I didn't want to live, man. Like it wasn't cool. Like everybody that ever looked up to me, everyone that ever cared about me or liked my stream or was proud of me was instantly ashamed and wanted nothing to do with me. It was repulsed by me. Like it was miserable, man. And I didn't want to keep going. And and I know the next question, which is, so how the fuck did you?
Yeah,
You know, like,
exactly. Like that is
like
that is
how did
about as
yeah,
dark as you can get. That's we've hit bedrock,
yeah.
sort of rock bottom.
I mean,
So, and you've pulled yourself back. We're about to start talking about where you
you
came
know,
from here, but I want to know where on earth you found
so
the motivation, like the internal force of will to actually start that journey
yeah.
back out of what is a darker place than I've ever been in.
So it's difficult because to answer the question, I actually have to shed more light on what happened, and I was planning to not
And
talk
so
about what
if you
happened.
don't want to, that's perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
so but I mean it is a good question. Somebody somewhere could be going through the same thing and want to know, you know.
Yeah.
So long story short, shit went wrong. Uh it went public in, like I want to say it was like September, November. In reality, it had happened in January, so about 10 months before that. So what made it easier to recover was that it had already happened in January. It went public in November, but since it happened in January and my wife and I had already worked through it privately and had moved on with our lives, the fact that it was new information to the public made it miserable for me. But what made it bearable was that my wife and I were great. We were happy, we were comfortable, we have worked
Oh,
through
that's
our
so good.
differences,
Yeah.
and she was right there with me. I mean, I remember being in bed just dying. And it's interesting because, I want to say funny, but it's not funny at all. But it's funny because the one person I heard that put me in this position is the person that's bringing me up and keeping me going. And it just made me feel even fucking worse, but that's what kept me going. It was like, hey, look, Brian, I'm the one that matters. I'm the one you hurt, and I'm here. Like, let's keep this shit going. Like, you're good, man. You got this. And so we agreed. We're like, the best thing you can do is get on and stream tonight. Stream like nothing ever happened. Just put it in sub chat. Keep stream the next day. Stream the next way. She said, if you make it seem like a lot of shit went wrong and like shit's crazy and bad, she goes, then that's how the public's gonna perceive it. She goes, if you make it seem like nothing ever happened, then nothing ever happened. She said, it's just how it is with the internet. She's like, you just gotta keep going. People forget on the internet. Just keep going. Re-earn their trust, re-earn their respect. Just keep pushing. And so that's what I've been doing. I just keep fucking going and hope that one day I make people happy and I earn their respect back.
And I think you've been working very well at getting that respect back, keeping on your streams and trying to bury everything. And now let's get on to, well, you've been streaming, right? Your competitive experience, when Team Liquid, you haven't seen maybe a competitive team, or at least we haven't seen you compete in a serious way besides maybe a Fusion showcase or something like that.
Yeah.
So, Overwatch League, I think, has been publicly you told everybody you want to be in Overwatch League, and then you went ahead and tweeted at Overwatch, the Overwatch League DC team for a tryout, which caused some people to be upset and some people to actually
Yeah.
admire your I guess courage to just go out on a whim like that. So, what kind of tell me the story about your motivation to just reach out in that type of way?
That's a that's a hell of a transition from the dark place I was just in.
Trying to
I'm
go on to
covered
come
in
up,
sweat,
right?
covered in sweat over here. But yeah, let's transition to games. So yeah, so some people admired the courage. Some people admired the courage for being so publicly stupid. Um, so I actually worded this very carefully.
Right.
I specifically said, "Hey, Overwatch DC, how can I be involved with this team? I am a DC Northern VA local and would love the opportunity to try out. If I'm not what you're looking for, I understand. I'm just asking for a fair chance to prove my worth in a scrim tryout." So everything I said in here is worded very particularly. First sentence, how can I be involved with this team? Whether it's just doing viewing parties, whether it's being a streamer, whether it's being a local representative, just putting together like activities or boot camps, how can I be involved with this team in any capacity? This is the point of the first sentence. Second one is saying I'm DC Northern VA local. I'm what, like the first part of that sentence is just saying
Yeah.
I am geographically nearby, and that was important to me to say because there was a big thing going on where people were upset that there were a lot of imported players from other countries into the Overwatch League. They didn't like that you had Boston, but none of the players are from Boston, or Houston
Mhm.
Outlaws, but no one's from Houston. So I said, well, hey, this is DC, and I'm from DC. Like, what else? So then I said I would love the opportunity to try out. So like I'm not saying I deserve one. I'm not saying give me one. I'm not saying I expect one. I'm just saying I would love the opportunity if there was one to do it. Just like anybody would love to
Yeah, like
fucking win
showing
the
interest.
lottery. Yeah, like but a lot of people are like, wow, Kephrii thinks he deserves this. Whoa, no, I never said that. I just thought like it would be awesome to get one, just like it'd be awesome to win the lottery. And then
So
I
why
said,
did
hey,
you tweet instead of maybe like because that sounds like it could have been a well-worded email. So did you think like did you
yeah,
tweet to try and get like your fans to maybe kind of to help
well,
out
yeah.
more?
So that's kind of what happened. So I sent an email, which there wasn't actually a public email available, so I just found one and sent it, and then I DM'd we'll see, it was MKL, a coach, Avela, a coach, and Kate, the general manager. I DM'd all three of them. And I even gave them a bigger email, explaining, some of the stuff I was doing. I had just done like a recent donation support for like the children's hospital.
Oh, nice.
Like I had just done a Trevor Project support donate charity stream. We raised about a $4,000, me and a bunch of other streamers for the LGBTQ community.
That's
Just
awesome.
like saying like, hey, like here's some other stuff that I've done. Here's like the positive things I've done in case you've only heard the negative on Reddit. Here's like my local like the tournaments that I played in, even scrim footage, from teams that I've been playing with that you might not know I've been playing with, because at the time, like, I didn't kind of just walk into contenders. Like, I was still doing scrims and behind the scenes to get into contenders in
Yeah.
the first place. So I was like, it's not like I'm out of the loop. So that's why I said, look, if I'm not what you're looking for, I understand. I'm just trying to get a fair chance to prove my worth. And that was just
Mhm.
saying the fair chance was put in there in case they were biased against me from Reddit or the public.
Yeah.
That was trying to get them to kind of get out of that. So yeah, so they didn't respond to the DMs or the email, which to me, where I come from in the government type of business, no response is not normal. Generally, someone responds and says, "Thank you for your email. We'll get back to you," or "Thank you, but you're not what we're looking for. Thank you, we're not interested at this time." All of those would have been acceptable, or even don't
A
even thank me.
response
Just say,
anyway.
"I'm not interested." Like, piss off,
Yeah.
Kephrii. Like, something. But not responding makes me think you didn't see it, because these three are new coaches and new orgs. Their DMs could be
Right.
flooded. Maybe they got lost in the DMs of hundreds of people saying the same exact thing, because the tier 2, 3 scene is very hungry. So
Mhm.
I thought, well, maybe, I was like, let me just make them see it. Fuck it. So, there's a marketing aspect to Overwatch League, whether people want to, acknowledge it or not. And at the end of the day, they have to make money. And so to make money, they have to be able to sell and advertise and market. And I have a brand, I have an image, and I can help sell that. I am an influencer technically at the end of the day. So
Mhm.
I threw the tweet out there to show them, look, I'm useful. Look at all these people that I'm impressionable to, and you know, my fans can be your fans. Let's have fans. Yay, we all win here. Assuming that I'm good enough. And that was the point of the tweet. But a lot of people, I guess, I don't know, I'm going to insult some people here, but reading comprehension wasn't a strong suit. And they thought that I was saying that I deserved it over other people, or that I was trying to take a shortcut to Overwatch League and that I had to go through contenders. In reality, there is no rule that says in order to join Overwatch League, you must go through contenders. That's not a thing. And there's actually nothing. If we won contenders, right, my whole team, right, if we all won contenders, there is nothing that guarantees we go into Overwatch League. You can actually win contenders and not go to Overwatch League. They're two completely separate things. So, and most tier 2 players, which is contenders, aren't paid. They make no money. So you make almost no money, very little. You sweat for what I do scrim blocks from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. on top of being in another country. And you can't stream during that. So you lose all of your money making potential. You make no money, all for a chance at maybe making money, but there's no guarantees. There's no certainties. And as a 24-year-old male with a master's and a military background, a wife and bills to pay, that sounds like a stupid fucking decision. That is not a financially responsible decision for an adult to make. So that's what I said. I said, hey, financially, this is a bad idea. Going to contenders is a bad idea. And now I'm here, but that's a whole nother story. So yeah, the initial tweet to DC, that was my thought process, was just, hey, if you guys are interested, I'm down. I can help. It's a win-win. Let's go. You know, it was never I think I deserve this. I want to skip the path to pro. If someone said, yeah, no shit, this is the path, you have to do this, I would have never tweeted that. But you know, you don't have to do it. So
because I think a lot of people didn't know what you were doing behind the scenes. And for a fun story for everybody, how I knew of Kephrii, or how I met Kephrii, is because I was looking for scrims to cast, and he was on a team called Macaroni Boys, which I don't know if it was like a meme team or like, I don't know where the seriousness was, but they were scrimming quite often, and he was in scrim blocks, but then you left the team and I don't know what happened, but like no one knew what you did behind the scenes. But for anyone who doesn't know, what competitive experience do you think you had to you know, say that you were ready for Overwatch League? Because that was Overwatch League is an immense full-time commitment.
Yeah, so the thing with Overwatch League, there's a couple of different facets that I like to think about. One is I could dedicate more time to Overwatch League than contenders for the sole fact that I'm still in the United States. Sure, you could do NA contenders as well, but that's assuming a team wants me in NA contenders, which at the point in time, I was not a very well liked or respected individual, and no NA contenders team, if we're being honest, wanted to touch me. So that was not in the question. In order for me to play in contenders, I would have had to leave the region because NA didn't want me. And in order to make people happy and prove my worth, since that's what I have to do, I have to fucking come over here. So here I am. So I fucking left the country so I could make people on the internet happy. I could have just kept streaming. I could have just kept doing what I was doing. I don't want people to hate me. I don't want people to view me as an unlikable asshole. I don't think I'm an unlikable asshole, but that's what every unlikable asshole thinks. So I'm just going to start doing what the majority of the internet asks me to do from now on. And I'm just going to
a good lesson.
We're just going to see if it works. We're going to see if it works their way. I'm going to go their way, and we're going to see if it works, and maybe I'll learn something on the way.
There's no way that this could possibly go wrong.
No, absolutely not.
I'm on a 3/4 of an inch mattress on a floor 20 plus hours away. I am by flight. I'm great. This is great. This is not the sacrifice I thought I was making, for the record. When people say, oh, you have to make sacrifices, this is not what I thought.
And so you did a house tour just yesterday and showing your living conditions, and you're mad that you had requested a bed and then got this mat, and you know, whatever, it's all good. And
I'll be honest, I don't know the culture here. I don't want to offend anybody. I am ignorant. This is a disclaimer for the people listening. I am ignorant to culture in South Korea. If this is normal, cool. I don't know what normal is here. I apologize if I offend you. I am not used to a 3/4 inch mattress on the floor. That is not normal for me. In America, the mattress is this big. I'm doing hand gestures over here. The mattress is this big. There's a box spring that's this big. It goes in a frame and it sits off the floor. I'm not used to a mattress this big. It looks like a pancake when I lay on it. It's the floor. It's non-existent. So I'm just not used to it. Oh, sorry. To tie back to your original question. So there's many facets to Overwatch League. So yeah, the reason why I didn't mind asking for a tryout, right? Because a lot of people are like, did you even think you were good enough? Like, what the fuck? The reason I didn't mind that tweet so much is because a lot of these Overwatch League players, right? I've been playing with them since I got the game.
Yeah.
Like I remember playing with Agilities, Grim Realities, Sinatra, Baby Bay, all of these players before they were even pro or signed or anything. I remember running into them in ranked, adding them, duoing with them for a couple weeks, and then like never seeing them again.
Oh,
So it's like, well, it's because they go into scrims or they do their own thing or they
yeah.
realize that they're carrying me and they don't want to carry me anymore. But whatever the reason is, I've seen them for so long. Realistically, I know their play styles because I've just played with them for 2 years. When you play someone in ranked for 2 years, you just get this intuitive feeling of what they're gonna do. You're like, that
Hmm.
guy's probably gonna come over here. Like Sinatra gets killed by a brig 2 times in a row. Like I already know what he's gonna do the third time. Like I know how they're feeling and thinking. And so that's kind of the way I aimed it with DC. It was like, hey man, I know a lot of these guys in the league. I know how they act. I know how they think, and I know how that affects their play style in game. Like I could be useful actually. So that's kind of why I didn't mind asking for a tryout because I thought I would be useful.
And you thought you were ready and you thought you had the experience playing the game for this long. And did you feel you were at the skill level and had the hero pool also for Overwatch League? Or did you see yourself as like a specialist kind of player?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that I thought I had the experience or a hero pool, right? That would be a little bit a little I'd be ignorant to say that, right? Because I don't
Right.
know what I don't know. In reality, I'm not in the Overwatch League. I don't know what they know. For all I know, there could be a really cool like they drink some weird punch and they get some special powers. I don't know. Like complimentary Adderall at the door. I don't know how it
Nice.
works there, right? So I'm just joking
Hopefully
about the
not.
time. Yeah, I'm just joking about what time we said. So I don't know what works or how it works in Overwatch League, but I like to think that if I'm playing at the level I'm playing at now, and based on just the way, like, I like to think that I'm not the most unintelligent person. I have a master's degree. I worked intelligence. I like to think I can have logical conversations with people. I like to like I can usually check emotion at the door when it comes to things. I figure that I have the characteristics of a player that can be taught and that can improve and grow and learn. So,
Hmm.
based on what I can do in the game currently, I like to think that I have potential to do more in the future, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm coachable. I think I'm coachable and I'm groomable, and I could work in a team environment. So that's kind of why I asked for the tryout. I thought that maybe somewhere a coach would see potential.
Hmm. So I think a lot of what, like from what you said, a lot of what's held you back in NA has been your relationships within the community. So how, like through all of the things we just talked about, all the events that took place over the many years, how have you tried to slowly repair those relationships, or have you tried to reestablish your reputation in some kind of way, or do you just try and say that you're an outsider and just try and hope it goes away? Or how are you trying to kind of
Yeah,
grow
that's the
from
tough
this?
one, right? So the problem is going into this scene, I wasn't familiar with esports as, beyond just console.
Mhm.
So when I showed up to Overwatch, I pissed off a lot of TF2 groups. I pissed off a lot of different like cliques, like high school cliques of people. Once I started learning that, I took a step back and I said, "Hey man, like the common denominator here is you. Like you fucked up somewhere. There's a reason you are not getting friends and you're not getting invites. Like what did you do?" And when I was going the streaming route, YouTube route to get views, I would upload videos of me beating other pros. Cool, people like to watch that. Yeah, but for that pro player, he doesn't really appreciate being put on blast. It doesn't like nobody likes to have videos of them getting beaten by somebody uploaded to YouTube. So it puts me in a weird spot where it's like, well, YouTube wants to see pros versus pros. Well, I'm in control of the content I upload. I kind of want to upload me beating other pros. It's like I don't want
Yeah.
to upload games of me losing all day. People lose in their own comp games. They don't want to watch me lose in their free time. Um, so like I remember I started sending out like messages, like genuine heartfelt messages apologizing to players, like Gods, for example. I remember sending him like a good 2-pager just out of nowhere. I just said, hey man, like I know this is gonna seem really creepy and weird, like that I'm messaging you, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry for being a dick a year ago. Like, just trying to tell people, hey, when I first
Yeah.
showed up at the scene, my behavior was toxic and rude, and it was inappropriate and unprofessional, and I didn't realize it, and I'm just sorry. You know, there's a lot. It's different. When I showed up here, you know, I had my brain and my wife's brain, but now I have like 400,000 people telling me how to think as well, and it gives me perspective that I didn't have, and some of it sucks, but some of it's really good and really helpful, and it really does help me learn and grow as a person. So I've been trying to like you know, fix the bridges that I burned, and the ones that I can't, you know, I sent out the apologies and I've left them at that. And if they don't want to accept them, I completely understand. Like I don't blame them, you know. But I'm trying to walk back the mistakes that I've made, and it's definitely difficult.
And I feel like you've been also on top of the potential of drama. I remember this one stream thing that happened. I don't know, you were playing against Pine and Twitch chat like thought you said
Ooh,
something
yeah.
against Pine, and I remember you went and messaged Pine before
I was real quick to message Pine.
yeah.
I messaged Pine, Arc, and Flower immediately after the game, and I said, "Hey, so what happened was I come from Halo, right?
Yeah.
Halo, that was the first real competitive game I got into, like competing on a main stage at MLG. Like that was the first thing. And in that game, it is extremely common to Sinatra. You know, you teabag, you unload a full AR into their dead body and melee it. Like that's completely normal and acceptable. You get up in
Mhm.
the middle of the main stage, you yell at them, get shit
Halo's
on. Like
so toxic.
that's
Yeah.
completely normal and acceptable. And after the game, you'll go shake their hand and you're like, yo, GG.
Mhm.
Because it's like what stays in the game stays in the game. It's mental tilt in the game. It's just banter. It stays in the game. You know, you respect the
Mhm.
player outside of the game, but in the game, everyone's worse than you. You're the fucking best. Like that's how they view it.
Right.
Or at least it was when I was there. And so you know, I was playing with Pine, Flower, and Arc against they were 3 stacked against like me and I think it was like me and a buddy. I don't remember who was on my team. Maybe I was solo queue. I'm pretty sure I wasn't though. I'm usually duoed. So I just remember playing and I was like, oh, I bet you he'll do this. And then he did that and I shot him. I was like, you could write a book. I was like, you'd make a great author. I was like, you're so like easy to read.
Oh.
And chat was like, what? And I was like, dude, like I didn't mean it like that. Like, yeah, it's an insult, but it's like it's just competitive
Just
banter, man.
in-game
Like
stuff,
it's
yeah.
not that he's easy to read. There's only so many chokes on the map. You gotta go through one of them. Like, and statistically, this one's further from your spawn. Like, why not go to this one? So like it was just friendly banter. So immediately at the end of the game, I was like, hey, disclaimer, I fucking respect these guys. They are great. They have proved themselves time and time again in tournament. I am a nobody ranked streamer. Like, I'm just having fun. Please don't go tell their Twitch chat, like, Kephrii said you suck shit, blah, blah, blah. So I instantly DM them, please ignore Twitch chat. I respect you guys. You are great. Yes, I was having friendly banter on stream, but it's just because I respect your guys' skill that I even banter like this.
Mhm.
And so, and they have both responded, and said like, hey, like, don't worry about it, man. Fuck those guys. Like, like it's okay.
Mhm.
Like we understand. Like we don't fall for it. So that was good.
Yeah, you were, like, on top of it, which I don't know if that was, like,
I
good or
hate that I have
bad
to do
because
that.
you
I
almost,
hate that
like,
I have to do
now told them to go to stream and check it out, but then you
that.
also
Yeah.
kinda tried to cover the fire before it started eventually, so
As- yeah, I'm in a position now where anything I do is heavily scrutinized, you know, and
right.
for good reason. I've earned that reputation, you know. If I say anything and it can be perceived poorly, it will be. And you know, it's gonna be like that until I fix it. And you only can fix things through actions, and actions take time. And
Mhm.
well, I'll see how long hopefully Overwatch lasts long enough for me to fix it. So
Well, speaking of now fixing it, you're on that redemption climb now, getting into contenders, and everyone doubted you, and now you're really here to prove yourself and follow that path to pro that everyone's been saying you should do. And I think this has been quite an experience for you. So tell me about how you got, or how GE, or how your GE team found you, and what's the story behind that?
so it's so weird. Redemption arc. Very so okay, so funnier I'm gonna call Jane out. I love we have a spreadsheet chat. I'm calling you chat now, viewers,
Nice.
audience members. There's a
So
Google
used to
Doc,
Twitch.
right? Where Jane kind of just gives me a heads up so I'm not blindsided. He doesn't tell me the questions straight up, so like there's still like some mystery, but he gives me like a general like here's where you get screwed, Kev. And I love the way he worded it because I didn't read it this way. And this isn't how I viewed my life. And it says pre-Overwatch, Overwatch Success, Overwatch Downfall, and then like I can't find it, but it said something like I think he changed the wording already on the document, but it said Overwatch Rock Bottom.
Oh no!
It was there at one point, yes.
So it was pre-success, downfall, rock bottom, and I'm like, fuck, like that's how Jane views my life. Like that's actually how the community sees this. Like I hit rock bottom. Like did I hit rock bottom? And then I think about it and I'm like, yeah, I hit rock bottom. Like, yeah, that happened. So I guess technically, yeah, this is a redemption arc. I'm not used to the term. I don't like it. But
what term would you prefer instead?
Nah, you're right, man.
The comeback, the redemption.
I guess anybody who hit rock bottom would like to think they didn't hit rock bottom. So you know, honestly, when I remember walking with my wife to get Bulgogi, and I read that rock bottom, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like that's actually what happened. Like that was when it really hit me. When reality hit me, like, damn, I suck. So
no,
self-realization.
That's previous. That's past tense. It sucked.
Yeah, I guess
in
you
the
don't know how
past.
bad it sucks until you start fixing shit.
Yeah.
So no, so thank you for the rock bottom page that's gone. I'm surprised you moved that. That's awesome. Oh, that's I'm like scrolling. I'm like, I'm not crazy. That was there. But no, yeah. So the redemption arc, I guess, is everyone calls it. I like to just, I don't know, man. It's not a redemption arc to me because it's just me. But I don't know. I told my wife, like, I'm just taking it a day at a time. Every day, individually, like I wake up and consciously I tell myself I'm gonna be great today. And I think of it as like, I remember somebody once told me, if you wanted to make like a perfect brick wall, you just lay one brick really well. And eventually, like if you just do one brick at a time, you end up with a really beautiful wall. So if I take one day at a time and I do good, do well, do great, one day, and then I go to the next day and I just keep trying to be a good person and do the right thing, then eventually I'll have done a lifetime of just doing the right thing. So that's just I'm just taking it a day at a time, and hopefully it works.
Well, it worked out to get you in contenders, right?
I think.
Push for, come on, there's confidence. I feel like we've crushed you here.
Well, so I got into contenders because I tweeted for DC. So it's
a bad turned into a good.
Yeah, but I didn't think the tweet was bad. That's what sucks.
It was only I mean, it's just the meme.
Yeah,
it turned into a meme.
meant well. Like that's what sucks. Like if you meet me, you're like, damn, Kephree's just an idiot. Like it's not like he means really well. Like, but it's true. Kephrii Babo. Like Kephrii means really well, but damn, he's just like he can be so dumb for someone so smart. Like I can do analysis, but damn, I make some dumb choices. Like I don't know what it is, man. So yeah, I tweeted DC, and then as a result, GE messages me. And it's like, hey, you want to play in like contenders over here, full Korean roster in the Pacific region? And I'm like, I instantly start Googling the dude's team. Like, is this a joke? Is this a scam? Is this real? Am I about to like lose it? Like, because it's like an Indian company that runs it, but it's in Korea. So I'm like, dude, I'm gonna lose a kidney somewhere. Like, what's happening? Where are you flying me? And so, and that's not me being racist to some audience member that thinks I'm being racist. If any stranger tries to fly you to a foreign country claiming to be a doctor,
double check your sources.
You might think you're going to lose a kidney. The guy's a doctor trying to fly me to another country. I thought I was going to lose a kidney. So, yeah, so he asks me, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, sure, and that's kind of just what happened. That's why he asked me. He said he wouldn't have known to ask me if he didn't see that tweet. He would have just assumed that I didn't want to compete because I had a successful stream, and he thought the successful stream trumped the competition aspect.
Now GE got in contact with you initially based off of your tweet to DC. Did they do any sort of like tryout process? Did they see how well you could communicate with the full Korean roster, or it was kind of like, you're on a plane now, we'll figure out the rest later?
So we did a couple of scrims, 250 ms from NA to Korea.
On Widowmaker.
On Widowmaker, I shot maybe 3 targets. A lot of walls. Apparently, the spectator client had me shooting a lot of walls. Where I was playing Diva, and I tried to eat some stuff while in a grav. I teleport out of the map and blow up, and then
Oh my
teleport back
God,
into
what?
the map. I literally had no control over my character. Fell through the map, couldn't see a thing, came back to the game dead. And that was like what scrims were like for trying out on 250 ms. GE, I asked them, I said, hey, I sucked in scrims, like, why do you want me? And they're like, well, and I can't say the team for this other scrim that I played against, but they're Overwatch League team. So I played against them, and they're like, the fact that you even sniped that Widow main on 200 ms, like 250 ms, like that means you had to predict that he was gonna show up. They're like, based on this and just your stream and what we've seen over the last year and a half of watching you, we think that you will be fine once you're here. So we're gonna risk it. We're gonna fly you here. Let's see what you can do. So we did do a couple of scrims, and the coach talked to me about theory crafting, compositions, strategies, and he liked what I was saying, and he liked my thought process. He thought I was coachable, and he kind of did what I said earlier. Like he said, "Hey, look, there's potential here. We can make something work with him."
And now that you're actually in Korea and you're playing with the team, how have you actually meshed with the team despite the language barrier?
So it's funny. The language barrier hasn't gotten better, but it's almost like water has learned my personality, like as a person, kind of like what I was talking about earlier with the Overwatch League people. Like I know their personality, so I just kind of know what they'll think and do in a game. It's kind of like that with water. We're playing, and he just knows I'm an idiot, and we play, and we just sync up. Like we just know where to go and what to do. And I'm gonna say this in our next game, we're gonna get screwed, and we're gonna be out of communication and out of sync, and I'm gonna eat my words. But for the time being, it's been great. The communication hasn't gotten too much better. We fixed some things, like I didn't know how to ask for bubble. Like bubble was not their word, so I made them learn bubble. As a result, I had to learn left and right. So oren joke and when joke. I remember it because oren joke, there's an R in it, oren. So R is right, oren joke right, when joke left. So that's how I call left and right now because I couldn't. And then I had a problem where on Zarya, I ran into an enemy team and fed uncontrollably because I thought my team was with me. So I looked like a straight bot. In reality, there was a Diva bomb. I thought my Ryan was going to turn around and block it, and we would get back into the shit. Turns out they called for a disengage, full, regroup, because I guess we wasted speed boost already. So the team backed up. I went in. I ate shit and fed. We got spawn camped and didn't end up capping the 3rd point. Thankfully, we full held and it didn't matter and we still won. But all of that was due to the fact that I couldn't speak a single word of Korean at the time. So now we've devised the plan of if my team yells the word Halmenhe, which means winnable, then I know to keep feeding and keep fighting.
Nice.
If at no point Halmenhe is called, then I know this is not a fight we're winning. So we should disengage. So we have been fixing slight comms like that, but a lot of it has come down to personality. They know me as a person. They know my attitude. They know how I joke and laugh, and they just can kind of feel what I'm gonna do, and I can kind of feel what they're gonna do now.
So you've learned a couple Korean words here and there. Are you trying to dive deeper into learning Korean as a whole? And what about Pacific Contenders? Is this like a temporary thing? Are you coming back? Would you stay there? What's the issue?
So obviously I've taken a huge hit in the streaming department. I can afford to do a couple of months here. So a lot of people think I'm doing 1 month, which is what I've been telling everybody. It was from November 26th or 27th to December 23rd, so it was about 1 full month. Oh, excuse me. If we make playoffs, I have to come back in January for the playoffs, which is another like 20 days or 10 days or something like that. And then I guess if we win contenders, then cool, we won contenders. Yay.
Yay.
Yeah. I don't know what to do with that, but cool.
The glory.
Yeah, the fame. Yay. So I guess I don't know. I guess I won't know until it's done. Like if I win, then do I play again? Do I insert tokens and go again? Like, am I supposed to keep? Do I keep competing in tier 2 just to keep competing in tier 2 and hemorrhage money and get nothing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, at what point is it worth it? I think if I won contenders, then I probably wouldn't go into contenders again, because
You will have
why?
proved yourself.
Yeah, I've already done it. Yeah, so why? Like, I'm sure some asshole somewhere is thinking, well, it's not NA contenders, it's not EU, it's not this. Like, okay, I get it, but it's still contenders, guy. You go compete in contenders, all right?
You go compete in
You do
contenders.
well on a
You do it.
3/4 inch mattress in Korea, all right? You fucking fly out here, guy. So, economy for a 240-pound man does not feel good for 14 hours on a flight. I'll tell you that. So no, yeah. So no, to answer that question, if we won, I probably wouldn't do it again. Just because I value my time a little higher than that. Someone's gonna be upset by that, but realistically, I'm a streamer, I'm a content creator, I'm an influencer. I value my time a little higher, and I'll do contenders once to prove my worth. And if I win, cool. If I lose, cool. At least I did something, and you can gauge my performance in a competition-based environment, fully. And if it's still not what you're looking for, then I accept that. Like, if Overwatch League isn't wanting me, cool, no big deal. If I win contenders or lose contenders and they don't want me, again, cool. I'll just go back to streaming probably. So this will probably be like my one and done, and then I'll just stream unless some team actually wants me.
And this has to have been a little bit more about just proving yourself. You've talked about playing with Sinatra, Baby Bay, other now professional Overwatch League players over the last 2 years in comp, in solo queue, even before there was comp when you were in quick play. But between the solo queue style of play, even if you're kind of 3-stacking in top 500, it's still the latter compared to actually professional play. Have you learned anything from your experience in contenders so far? Are you still learning new things with your experience with this team, or has it been just about proving yourself and that you all along were capable of doing this?
That's a tough one, man. You like to ask these questions that like spark drama.
Yep.
You love this shit. So there's the answer people want to hear, and then there's the actual answer. The answer people want to hear is like, oh, I learned a lot. This has been a humbling and great opportunity. Thank you all so much. And then there's like the actual answer, which is, yeah, I have learned a lot. There's a difference between ranked and pro. Like, obviously my Zarya positioning got crapped on for the lack of communication instantly. If you're out of position, you are instantly killed. So you learn to play safer very quickly. But then again, on the flip side, it doesn't differ from ranked in the sense that the game is still coded the same. The abilities can only do what the abilities are designed to do. Like, your cooldowns are still the same cooldowns. Your maps are still the same maps. Shit still works the same way. So it's not that much different, like, it's different that all of your teammates want to win, and it's different that they all talk and communicate to try to win. But I mean, that's just how the game was supposed to be played in the first place. Like, that's how it used to be when I played in the early stages of Overwatch. Everybody used to want to win. Now nobody really gives a shit in ranked, but that's not what it always was, and that's not how I always remember it or how I treat it now. So like, I still view the game as a competitive game, even when I'm playing with a one-trick Torb sim. Like, to me, it hasn't changed much. So like, yeah, like, I've learned a lot, but it hasn't. It's not that different from ranked to competition, but that's because in my eyes, ranked isn't what everyone else views ranked. Everyone else views ranked as like garbage shitters running out there doing whatever they want whenever they want. I still view ranked as coordinated 6 versus 6. So to me, it's not very much different. It's just I get the actual teammates consistently here in contenders
and not throwers. Yay.
Yeah. So it's but there's the answer everyone would like to hear is just, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
It's so much more different.
We'll make sure in post that that's the answer that you delivered.
But I mean, but they get the answer they wanted. I mean, yeah, exactly, I did learn. Like, I learned, and you saw it when you analyzed my VOD. I was in very safe positioning. That's because I got my ass beat. Like, there's only so many times you scrim an Overwatch League team and you have somebody instantly give you out of position. until you realize, hey man, I don't want to do that again. Like that kind of sucks. I don't like seeing the respawn timer. Like that blows.
And being
So
in a more aggressive position would, of course, require maybe a
yeah,
higher level of communication, which you don't have.
yeah, which is rough. And so that's why like I'm learning I have to make sacrifices in my positioning more defensively to accommodate the lack of communication. So yeah, I could overextend and I could, which would in reality be the normal amount of extension to match my counterpart. But if at any point I misjudge that, I would feed instantly. And is it worth the risk of me feeding instantly versus me playing safe? And so that's what we had to figure out was, do I push up with water and risk miscommunicating and dying and throwing the whole thing, or should I play defensive and just play the safe route, which could be taken advantage of by a higher communication team, but is still kind of unlikely based on individual skill. There's a lot of like little nuances in that, but yeah. So it's just there's a lot to learn with comms, and I have learned a lot through scrims. So it's kind of nice. It's good. Thankfully, I have really good teammates and a really good coach that's bilingual, willing to like like I said, take the chance with me and see if I'm willing to learn and see if I'm moldable. And I like to think that I'm not disappointing them yet.
Well, certainly based on record, you're not. So, what is the record for the team right now at this point?
Undefeated, baby, undefeated.
The team as a whole, not just the maps you've played.
No, I'm just teasing. The team as a whole, I know that week 1 they went 1-3 to HKA. Week 2 was 3-1. I was here for week 2. I wasn't here for week 1. My flight just didn't make it in time. So week 2, I was there 3-1. Week 3, 3-1. And then what? We just did week 4, right? No, we're about to do week 4. That's today. It's 2 a.m. for me. My game's at 6 p.m. tonight. So that'll be week 4 or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. So they've lost one series, I guess.
Yeah. You're in second.
Yeah. And then for me, I've played 3 maps. I played 1 map week 2 and 2 maps week 3, and we won those maps.
Now, out of all the games that you've played so far, Pacific Contenders is a little bit of a, I'm not sure if quieter region would be the right way to say it, but it's certainly lesser known. It gets less eyes. Yeah. So has there been anyone that you've played against or with that has like really surprised you with how good they are, that you wish that the American audience knew about? Is there anyone that's like really stuck out to you as a really great player and up and comer in Pacific Contenders?
Yeah, so just like a quick shout out to the Pacific region in general. A lot of people disrespect this region and say they're like not the shit region, but like a lot of people like to just dismiss them, and since they're the least known region and they're very quiet, people will just instantly think that Pacific is the worst Contenders region. That's definitely not true. Pacific is not the worst region, like at all. I don't know which region's worst. I don't think any region can be worse. They're still Contenders regions. So, I mean, you still have open divisions and trials. Like, it's not like Contenders is different here. It's still you have to qualify to get here. But anyways, so I'm going to move on from that. There's 2 players so far. I mean, okay, obviously my whole team's great, right? But the people that always shine are the DPS. DPS get way more credit than anybody else in an Overwatch just because of their role. They get the flashy plays. The Brig that shield slams for the Ryan to hammer, like they don't get the glory because it's Brig and Ryan. It's just they don't get it. So those people that kind of go above and beyond, like you have Patafan, who's like, I think he's like 15 or 16, maybe even 14.
Is he that young? Holy.
I just know he's really young. I could be I could be wrong on that. It's just what I heard. But from my understanding, Patafan's like 16, and the dude's just really fucking good. Mm-hmm. Like his Widow, Genji, he's just really good at the game. I don't know. I scrimmed against him earlier, and I made the mistake of not warming up before the scrim. And I ate it. For it. And I actually messaged him. I was like, we follow each other. And I was like, dude, I'm really sorry. Like, how it was rude of me to not warm up before this scrim, because I wasted your time because you deserved a better matchup than what I gave you. And I'm just really sorry you had to waste that 2 to 4 hour scrim block with me. And so he's like, hey man, don't be so hard on yourself. Like, it's not that serious. And I'm like, it's serious, man. Have you seen my mattress? So it's like, like I felt really bad. So he's really good. Water, extremely talented player. I think everyone already knows that. Like, I'm almost starting to think GE invited me to this team just to get Water into the public eye so he could go to Overwatch League. Like, I think that they have some backdoor deal with Water. The guy's just damn good. Multiple rank 1 accounts in Korea's servers. On top of that, I think he's the only player to have every top 500 icon for every game mode there is at all times, like even the arcade ones. Yeah, it's really weird. The guy's just damn good, and he's humble. Like, I talked to him about it earlier, and he's like, "Oh, America Overwatch League is my dream. You know, like all I want to do is get there one day." And I'm like, "Damn, dude, like you're gonna make me cry." And I'm over here fucking asking for a tryout, and you're over here actually good. So it's like that kid's just nuts, you know. And I think he's of age. Though. I think he's like 18 or 19.
Yeah, I casted him in Korean trials, and he already started getting everyone's. I think it was
Jeez.
Going Water S. Like,
Yeah, Going Water.
came
Yeah,
after him, and
yeah, go yeah. And then he's also known as Water Flame. The dude's just a nut. It's absurd that he's not in. It's a shame that he's not in yet. It's actually an insult to the guy. I'm gonna be honest. It's an insult that he has to play with me, and it's an insult that he's still in contenders. Like he's honestly that good, and it's a shame. It's a shame that he's still here.
I've been loving to transition into the whole Korean experience now. I've just been keeping up with your Korean tweets and how you've been experiencing Korea with Devin. Everything from really appreciating, was it Papa John's or whatever, and finding stuff that you guys can eat, even an Italian restaurant. Do you have any funny stories you can share of your Korean experience with Devin?
Yes, oh man, I was so excited to see a Domino's. I was so excited to see a Domino's. And so I go into this Domino's and we order based on the pictures. They give you a little menu with pictures and I point and I click and it's just like Widowmaker. I get what I point at. And so I I order the pizza. First of all, pizza here comes with corn on it. What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know why that's a thing. So if you order a cheese pizza, there's corn all over it. Don't know why. There's just kernels of corn on your pizza. It's not gross. It's just weird. You just don't see that every day. I asked them why. They said it's for texture. Cool. Okay. You thought pineapple on pizza was weird? Add corn. It's just a less juicier version of pineapple. So, yeah. So that was weird. So then I see these donuts on the menu, and I'm like, man, that sounds awesome. Some Domino's Oreo donuts. Like, hell yeah. So I get these black, like speckled, like it's like a white donut with black specks all over it. And I'm like, that's a dank Oreo donut. Like, fuck yeah. And I'm smiling the whole way home. I'm carrying this Domino's a mile in 28 degrees weather all the way back to our Airbnb. And I like step in the house and I take the biggest bite of this donut. And I like instantly just gag and spit it out all over the floor. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And Devin's like, what? And I'm like, I don't know, but it's fish. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's fish. Like, it's fucking fish. And I'm like trying to rinse it out. And I Google it and it's squid ink filled like rings. So
what the hell is that?
That sounds terrible.
It's squid ink inside of fried squid. So the black that I thought was Oreo was actually the oil that they use to fry the squid. It turns black. And inside of it was squid ink. But it looked exact. And it's, and it's on the side menu, like where the desserts would be. So, and it didn't smell fishy. It didn't smell like fish. Like it looked normal. It didn't smell weird. Donuts don't smell sweet. Donuts don't really have a smell. So I got fucking debated, man. Domino's got me. And it was really disgusting. So, I mean, and like, I don't mean it to be like insulting to someone's culture. If you guys like squid and squid ink, like, cool. But
do your thing, yeah.
It's like if you ever like gotten like sweet tea and you drank it and it was Coke, or you got Coke and you thought it was sweet tea. It's just not what you expected. It catches you off guard. And when I thought I was gonna get Oreo, I got squid, and couldn't be anything further from an Oreo. So, I was really upset about that.
That was hilarious because it looked
I'm,
legit
I'm,
like an
I'm
Oreo.
sweating in real life.
The only thing that could have made this
Oh.
better is if you were IRL streaming the entire thing.
I would
You
have
just
insulted.
threw up live.
I think I would have. Somebody would. It would be like a live stream fail. Kephrii insults entire culture. Like I wouldn't mean to do it. It would just happen.
Oh man, and you do have the IRL backpack there. Oh, man.
I do.
It's
have
been
it,
so
yeah.
cool. I tuned in for your. I missed the house tour and I still haven't caught the VOD yet. But I saw
Oh, you
you
didn't even
check.
stick. I did a second one.
You did a
bum.
second one?
You
it was
bum.
like
Yeah.
at 4 a.m.
I did it.
It was
Hell
like
yeah.
4
Yeah, for
a.m.
real. We were up
That's
late.
fair.
Well,
I did a begin. I did one in the beginning. I did one in the end.
Oh, man.
So
I
did
can't
beginning.
wait to take a glimpse at that 3/4 inch mattress that
Sorry.
you've been telling me so much
Oh,
about.
It's small, man.
I get a 3/4 inch for the. Oh, I can't say that, but you know, I get. I can't even get a full inch over here, my man.
You
Oh.
literally said the joke before anyone else.
But,
mentioned
That's how you do it. But
I think I deserved it, my own inch.
so if you did make it to the Overwatch League, this is the last question I'm going to throw to you. Redemption arc complete. You've made it to the Overwatch League. You know, you finally
Dallas Fuel Kephrii.
Dallas Fuel Kephrii. It's happened. This is
Oh,
just
no.
Leaks?
predicting the future.
Hi,
Hey,
Reddit.
no leaks. It's happened. Do you stay streaming? Are you staying as a content creator, or are you taking the Siegel approach and you say, "Fuck Twitch, fuck
so-
YouTube, we're a pro now"?
It's hard to say, right? Because Siegel's had the unfortunate. I mean, it's fortunate, right? It's got a double-edged sword. He was the poster boy, right? I mean, he got worked harder than any other content creator in Overwatch. You know, Overwatch's favor. I mean, he had to make Overwatch happy, and the poor guy has been worked harder than any content creator and competitor ever has. So for me, you know, I think that since I'm not the guinea pig, it would be easier for me to go into Overwatch League and still stream. I would definitely still stream. If I ended up in Overwatch League, obviously my responsibilities in the league are contracted and I'm required to do them. So the stream always gets the back burner. But if that means I only get to sleep 6 hours, 5 hours a day, then I guess I'm going back to the military and I only get to sleep 6 or 5 hours a day and I'm still streaming. If my progress in scrims go down, my progress in games go down, then I guess I have to do less streaming, you know, like, you know, I'll do whatever I gotta do. But the goal would be to not sacrifice the stream, obviously without sacrificing my contract requirements first. So it'd be make Overwatch League happy, then make stream happy, then make my life happy. Like that would be the order.
Well, I think that about does it. Thank you so much for joining us today and being very open and thorough with all your answers. I certainly appreciate it, and I hope that everybody who stuck it out through this entire interview also
Fuck,
enjoyed
how
it
long is
and
this
maybe
thing,
got
man?
we're at 1 hour and 40 minutes right now.
40 minutes, holy shit.
It's okay. It's still about a
Nice.
third the length of a normal tangent on my channel, so.
Oh my goodness.